Hi, this is Mike from Superbee, and if you've ever ridden a bike that fits perfectly, you know, it's amazing. And if you've ever ridden a bike that doesn't fit so well, you know, it's kind of uncomfortable. So today we are going to start with basic bicycle fit. So with this simple bicycle fit, the first thing we're going to look at is your saddle height and your angle of your saddle, and also fore and aft. We will also look at your handlebar angle, pretty easy to adjust. And we are also going to look at your lever position. These often can be uneven. One's a little higher, one's a little lower. All right, so let's adjust saddle height. With saddle height, we're going to need to use this bolt or this bolt right here to make the adjustment. So the first thing we need to do is measure your inseam. Now at a bike shop, I have a really expensive tool for measuring inseam, but all you need is the simple floor pump. Here's what you're going to do. Put your floor pump on the floor in front of you, stand on both sides, and pull up with a little bit of force, then hold it. Then you'll take your handy tape measure and go to the ground in front of you and just measure to the top of the handle. So in this case, it looks like my inseam is about 85 centimeters. Okay, so now that you've measured your inseam, in my case, about 85 centimeters, you are then going to multiply that by 1.09. Now, where did that number come from? I don't know. I learned that number years ago when I was in Switzerland at the UCI, and it works really well. So again, inseam times 1.09. Then you're going to subtract it by your crank arm length. With Shimano, it's super easy. It is printed right on the back of the crank arm. So now we've done the math and we know that I should be riding about 75 centimeters saddle height. So let's measure the saddle height. Now with Shimano, again, it's really easy. You can probably tell I'm kind of a Shimano fanboy, but here you go. First thing you're gonna do, this little gap here, you wanna make that perpendicular 90 degrees from your seat tube. Then, again, handy tape measure. You can just stick it right in here carefully. And you can measure your saddle height. Oops, there you go. So in this case, you can see I have a saddle height of about 74 centimeters. So I need to go up a little bit. So now I know I need to raise my saddle about 1 centimeter. So what I'm gonna do is mark my existing saddle height by just putting a piece of tape carefully like so. Okay, so then I can see exactly how high it used to be. All right, so I know I need to raise my saddle a little bit. So with this bike, fortunately, it has a very easy seat clamp. Just gonna loosen this bolt right here and then carefully raise it about 1 centimeter. And then I will gently tighten it. Now, a big note, when you loosen this bolt, never use a torque wrench. Do not loosen bolts with the torque wrench. It will destroy the torque wrench. Instead, use a good basic tool like this to loosen your torque wrench. And then you can add a little bit of tension to stop it from slipping. And then you're gonna wanna use your torque wrench. Now, printed here, you can see it says 5 Newton meters. Be careful. If you make this too tight, if you don't use a torque wrench, you can easily damage your bike. Now with this tool, it's pretty easy. We have a 4, 5, and 6 Newton meter selection. Gonna select it to the 5, like that, pretty easy. Then carefully, gonna tighten it up that little bit more until we hear a click. Okay, now we're set exactly to 5 Newton meters. Okay, so now I have measured it 1 centimeter, but I'm just gonna double check. So again, I'll just stick my tape measure down here and measure to the top, and yeah, sure enough, we're right at 75 centimeters. Okay, now that your saddle height is set, we want to work on your saddle angle. You're gonna wanna set it pretty close to 0. It depends a lot on the shape of the saddle. When you're measuring, be careful. If it's in a stand, it will skew your results. So what I like to use is just my phone, and I pull up an app, and I'm looking to measure my saddle angle. Now we wanna get it fairly close to 0, like that. Okay, so we know we need to take that nose up a little bit. So with this seat post, we're going to loosen this bolt a little bit. Sometimes it can be a little stuck. This one's not too bad. rotate it until you get it to the desired position. And for most people, that is fairly level. Some people do like a little nose down or a little nose up, but we're going to go with a nice level setting. And then finally, you want to use your torque wrench and make sure you get it to the correct torque. You can see underneath here, it is printed 12 Newton meters. So I'm going to set my torque wrench, 12 Newton meters, then tighten it up until I get the click, and then we're ready to go. All right, now that it's all set up and torqued up, I want to just double check and make sure I'm close. So then pull out my app and let's see how I did. Okay, perfect, great. Okay, so saddle's done, and now let's go ahead and move to the handlebar position. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the angle of the handlebar. Now this is largely a personal choice, but we're going to set it up in just sort of a neutral position. With your neutral position, you typically want this part of your handlebar level to the ground or maybe slightly down. When you're gripping the bars here, you want to be able to comfortably grab the brakes. If it's too far up or too far down, you'll have trouble reaching it. And then also we want to check the lever position. We want to make sure they're not too high, too low, and most important, we want to make sure they're the same. So now let's look at the handlebar angle. A lot of people come to my shop and they've been riding with a loose stem. So as they're riding, their handlebars start to rotate downward. Now this is a problem because your wrists are going to be really sore, and if you're down here in the drops, the brake action is going to be pretty strange. So that's no good. Other people, they come to the shop and they're riding, they feel a little uncomfortable and they start to rotate their bars up. I see this actually kind of a lot. Now, sure, it might be comfortable here, but in the drops, you have no brakes. Now that's also not going to work. So what you want to do, you want to rotate them. So typically the bottom part of your handlebar is level to the ground or maybe slightly down. And you want to be able to easily grab your brakes in the drops, but you also don't want a strange angle to your wrists. So it's nice and comfortable. So once you got it exactly where it's comfortable, then we need to go ahead and torque it up. Okay, so now we're going to want to torque up your stem's faceplate. So let's look at the bolts. Now, with some bolts, like titanium or alloy, they like to use a Torx head, and yep, that's what they're using. So I need to change my bit. No big deal. Okay, replace the old one. Stick the handle back. Okay, next I'm going to check how much torque the bolt takes, and it's 4 Newton meters. So, okay, switch it over to 4. Yep, and now we're ready to go. So now we're going to go ahead and set your lever height and try to make sure they're even. So first, let's go ahead and remove this compression cap. Alrighty, put it someplace safe. Then we're going to take a couple of tools. We have the TB-1946B and the TB-1946. We're going to put these two together like so. Alrighty. Then you're going to carefully start screwing it in there. Make sure we're getting it in there, okay? And then you can just use the top here. There you go. And you want to screw down until it's pretty tight, not rocking around too much. Okay, nice and tight. You don't need to go too tight with it. Next, we are going to set this post to the lever, and we will compare. Swing it over, and we are looking for even lever position. As you can see, it's hitting here, so this lever is slightly higher than this one. No big deal. We just need to lower this lever a little bit. You're gonna just peel your hood cover off or back a little bit. Put a 5mm Allen key in there. Now, they're all kind of located in this area. Some are at the top, some are at the side, but they're all about the same. I'm gonna jiggle it down just a little. Tighten it up. So I wanna make sure they're nice and even. Then, again, I'm gonna compare. Okay, so yeah, now we're looking nice and even. So then it's time to torque the bolt in there. Now we need to go ahead and torque up this lever so it's not moving. So with most levers, the torque setting is 6 Newton meters. Now 6 Newton meters is perfect. It's tight enough so it doesn't move, but also it's not so tight so when you hit it in an accident, it can move a little bit out of the way and save your lever. So 6 Newton meters. We're going to go ahead and use the TB-TW25. A nice addition to this torque wrench is that it has an extended bit on it, which is awesome for when you're working with levers. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to 6 Newton meters. Alrighty. Then, again, I'll find the bolt in here. It's sometimes a little tricky to find. Okay. And then, click, and you're ready to go. Again, not going to move. So yep, we're done. Okay, so here we have a fairly modern gravel bike, and if you want to change your position on this one, it's a little bit different process, but similar. So first of all, the way the seat post is wedged into the frame is slightly different, or attached to the frame. We use a wedge binder bolt here. Then also the way the saddle is attached to the seat post is a little bit different. We have 2 bolts here rather than the 1 horizontal bolt. And then if you want to access the bolt for the lever, instead of going this way, it's a little bit easier if you just peel it back and go this way. So you can see similar, but a little different. Okay, so now your saddle should be in a pretty close to perfect position, but if you do notice any pain in the back of your knee or back of your quad, your hamstring, that is often the sign that your saddle's just a little high, so no big deal. Just put it down a few millimeters, 5 millimeters to 1 centimeter max, and then try it and see how that feels. Or if you do have a bit of pain in the front of your knee, that often is a saddle that is too low. Try putting it up a few millimeters, and that should probably fix the problem. So once you've gotten that all taken care of, then you should also have a perfectly positioned handlebar, but if you notice a little bit of wrist pain or shoulder pain, you can also change that angle just a little bit. All right, now, so if you have any questions at all, please just drop us something in our comments. And as always, please like and subscribe. Now, this is a great tool, but a quick word of warning. When you're not using the tool, it's going to want to rotate down like this, no problem. But if this post is extended too far down, you could possibly damage your frame. How do I know this? Well, I did it. So when you're not using it, just pull your post nice and high here, and now there's no chance of you damaging your frame.